Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the broadcast. We're here with Tarsh Ashwin, and it is my absolute delight to introduce Tarsh to you. I call her Jaguar Woman because she has beautiful, expressive, rich, exotic kind of quality, and she understands the jungle. She understands like the jungle nature of the human being and how human beings have this wild spirit that is beautiful and knowledgeable and intelligent. And Tash seems to have been able to, I guess, steer her inner jaguar into this amazing work that she does. And I'd love to introduce you to her. She's part of, you've created a publishing company, Tash, is that right?
Yes, I have. Yes, very recently.
Wonderful. And so what inspired you to do this? What inspired you to create your own publishing company as well?
So for me, ever since I was a little girl, have always written story and read story. I've got journals, stacks and stacks of journals that go back to 6 years old, 5 years old. And so I've always been fascinated by human story and human journey and exploring consciousness, even when I was really little, And so for me, it was a real natural progression. I've come from holistic therapies into business strategy coaching, and really wanted to be able to find something that would give my clients another platform, a heightened platform, to be able to share their work, share their message, own their story, and really raise their profile.
Beautiful, because what would the world be without story? It's like the lifeblood of humanity, really, isn't it? Everyone has a story. There is not one person on the planet, even if they say, I haven't got anything to say, who doesn't have a story. And you're taking them into really, I guess, digging in deep to finding that story and the jewels and the pearls in that story and sharing them. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. So, and I love the way you describe it, the jewels and the pearls. I've heard you describe stories like that before, and it's a really beautiful analogy. But essentially, I really believe that everyone has a story. Everyone has a story worth sharing and worth owning. And especially if we are in business, if we are, in the transformation space, then the power of our story really can't be underestimated. When we're really able to see how far we've come on our journey, and share that in a way that is evocative, in a way that really connects with people's heart and, really helps people to bond. That's the powerful thing about stories, that it helps people to bond with you. They feel you rather than just intellectually understanding you. I really found it's a huge accelerator for business and for our capacity to sell in a way that feels really soulful.
So you talk about soulful selling. What does that actually mean to you?
Yes, sure. So for me, that is selling in a way that feels soulful, that feels like it is, that it comes from the soul rather than, coming from the head or following another strategy that is, following a strategy that might not necessarily feel good for us. For me, soulful selling is selling in a way that feels really good.
My understanding of the soul is that this is what directs our mission. This is what directs our purpose. We incarnate to achieve a purpose, and the soul is the director of this. And so, it's like it strikes me that when you talk about soulful selling, it means that selling becomes purposeful in terms of achieving this divine mission. And I'm curious, so being in a book, I mean, you and I have both been in these books and we've had the most wonderful time. So what do you think a book offers people? Like, what are some of the results you've seen for people?
Yeah, so definitely contributing to a multi-author book, which is what this Awakening, Meet the Women Birthing the New Earth is, a multi-author book. So we've got, up to 30, 33. I think there's 32 people in this in this multi-author. And so, you know, really it offers people an opportunity to experience what it's like to become an author, to actually embody that process of sharing your story with the world without necessarily having to go through the huge amounts of back-end work that writing your own solo book requires. So, you know, I've seen firsthand how powerful it is, first of all, for someone to actually claim the power of their journey, you know, really, really claim it and own the fact that their story, their journey has purpose, has meaning, and is transformational, has the capacity to transform other people and to touch, move, and inspire other people. That's incredibly powerful, you know, because we can be so conditioned to look forward, to look for our next level, you know, to really have our eyes focused on what we don't have right now, that we actually don't realize how far we've come. And I really believe this is actually where imposter syndrome can come from as well, right? Because we're too busy looking forward rather than recognizing just how far we've come. So when we can really pause and take a moment to, you know, really own our journey and own the fact that the people that resonate with our work, our soulmate clients, for want of a better word, will be a few steps behind us on a fairly similar journey. Fairly similar. There's reasons why people resonate with us, you know, why our soulmate clients will resonate with us versus other people who will not resonate with us. And I believe that has a lot to do with our energy, but also the experience and the journey that we've gone on. So when we can actually really stop and, you know, look back, look how far we've come, write about it, share it, you know, really own it and claim it and share it, it's actually incredibly powerful, not only for our confidence, but also for how we are able to bond with people in our community. You know, it's a real heart-based thing where we are able to connect with people at the heart level. And I believe this is really, really, it's absolutely essential, you know, especially when the marketplace, the online marketplace is being flooded, absolutely flooded with people that might do very similar work to you. You know, when you're really able to share the power of your story, it's like the best marketing strategy out there that you can use because first of all, it's free. You know, we don't need to pay anyone to share our story. But secondly, really it allows us to bond with people in our community, people that are on the similar journey, a few steps behind potentially.
And, you know, like just simply to be able to do something like this, pull out, like take a selfie of yourself, like grin, and the power of that is huge. It's absolutely epic. And the fact that you know, like Adriana's just put that you're really fantastic at creating community, and one of the things I notice about a multi-author book is I immediately felt part of a community. And I felt part of a joint mission and a joint journey, and that, you know, women, we need that connection, don't we? We need to feel that our connections are significant and that we're nurtured by our community. And so, you have that real capacity to create, and a book almost like consolidates that, doesn't it?
It's been so powerful for the women who've come on. So I've just finished, we've got chapters coming in at the moment for the first book that Ashwin Publishing has done. The first book is called Wild Women Rising, Brave Women Who Carved Their Own Path. So my authors have gone through this huge experience of writing their story and the catharsis that comes with that. It's incredibly powerful. It brings up a lot of our shit, right?
Can you tell us more about that? Because we so often say move forward. And we don't often take time to go back in and say what is in there and how do I find, you know, what is the magic of what has been done and where I've been. But in doing that, we meet the shadow as well, don't we? Can you talk about that?
We meet the shadow, absolutely. Yeah, well, so much of especially it might have been the theme of this book, I'm not sure. It's the first one I've done as the publisher, so it's all been quite a new experience for me. But, you know, the stories that these women are writing about is, you know, how they've moved through trauma to get to where they are, you know, the big stuff that they've had to face and the big stuff that they've had to integrate in order to find the courage, the drive, the passion, the commitment to create what they have created at the moment. So for many, that's involved going back and writing about past experiences that, you know, potentially they've tried to bury away or they haven't spoken about publicly. You know, it's been very, very powerful. And I really believe, you know, in this book, it's the wild woman, the energy of our inner wild woman that is what gives us that determination and that courage and commitment to actually create the thing, right, that we've created. So, yeah, it's been huge. There's been physical catharsis, like physical illness that's come up. There's been emotional catharsis. But on the other side of that, it gives me goosebumps to talk about it. Like, I'm witnessing in these women an incredible claiming of their power. Like, you know, they're at this point now where they go, my journey has been fucking powerful and it's happened for a reason, and I can see the gifts in all the shit. And as a result, you know, I can really claim the power and the potency of what I'm here to do and what I'm here to say. Like a real embodiment.
Writing that grounds it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
It grounds it into something that is, you know, obviously a hard copy book in the end, but it grounds it within ourselves too.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's all very well for us to live in the world of ideas, but we know that the money comes when we start to actually ground what is true for us and ground our ideas. That's when we actually start to, as you say, sell, market, become successful in our business. So can you talk about, I guess, this idea of standing out through creating a personal story and how that grounds us into our identity, which then lets us stand out? That would be really...
Yeah, there's so many layers to that. What immediately comes to mind is, you know, when you talk about standing out and grounding and embodying and, you know, really it's about bringing that energy down, right, and executing it in the body, which means we need to take action. We need to, you know, allow ourselves to be seen. We need to speak up, right? It's all well and good to kind of sit behind our computer and, you know, feel very safe. But it's actually, I believe, you know, real big success and profitability comes when we actually decide to step out behind the invisibility cloak, so to speak, and allow ourselves to actually be seen, allow ourselves to share our story, to, you know, to talk about things that may be a little bit controversial or maybe a little bit scary to talk about, you know, and really claiming our story and speaking about our story, where we've come from, what we've moved through, you know, what the key themes are in our life, because everyone comes in with themes and lessons to learn, I believe, you know, from a soul perspective. We need to talk about that, I believe, because as soulful entrepreneurs, where the work we do in our business is our soul work, you know, everything that's led us to this point has meaning and purpose and informs the work that we do with our clients. So the more we can really share that, it's like there's 1,000 kinesiologists, 100,000 EFT practitioners out there, or whatever it is that you specialize in, but there's only one of you. Only one person who has your lived experience and who thinks the way you do as a result of that experience and who feels the way you do. And the more we can really claim that, talk about that, share that, publish that if we feel called, the more we're actively standing out in what I call the online sea of sameness.
And there's, it's to me that determination to actually step out from behind the invisibility cloak, that's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's really not.
Not an easy thing to do. And yet there's something about the process of writing your story, telling your story, and consolidating your story that somehow makes it safer. Like, I don't know, there's this incredible feeling of safety in that process of, I've done the work to really dig deep into my story, to tell it in the way I want to. It has this mixture of honesty and truth and integrity, but also myth making, you know, like speaking to the part of you that shines. And then that feels safe. Now, once it's out there in the world, it's almost like a little beacon that you can walk behind that leads the way. And you're there going, I can free myself from that invisibility cloak.
Yeah, completely agree.
Can you tell us some of the stories of your authors?
Yeah.
Happen? That would be really great.
Yeah, well, I'll just quickly, what came through when you were saying that is, you know, when we go through that process with a cohort of contributors as well behind us, energetically supporting us, that makes the process 10 times easier as well, because it's not just you out there on your own, like we are in every other, you know, marketing and sales promotional piece. We can feel like we're just there on our own, you know, where actually we have a cohort of powerful female entrepreneurs or powerful women who are really doing the same process, going on the same journey with us and supporting us along the way. So it makes that incredibly powerful. Yeah. So look, there's 30 women in the book. So the stories are very varied, right? So varied, actually. There's stories of, you know, women that have, you know, moved through physical, sexual, emotional abuse, you know, and really healed those experiences in order to stand fully in their power and to claim their wild woman. There's stories of women who, you know, walked away from their family, you know, left their families or left the tried and true experiences in their life in order to follow their heart's desire, and, you know, really gone against the status quo, you know, 20, 30, 40 years ago in order to listen to the whispers of their heart. There's so many amazing stories in there. Like there's stories of women that, you know, left Africa as, you know, as refugees to come to Australia, you know, running for their life in order to really, you know, to feel safe and to find a place of safety. It's very varied.
The thing that really jumped in then when listening to you is this: we are in a time, women are in this, we're on the edge of evolution, aren't we? Yeah. We're on a cliff face, this precipice, and more than anything, what we need is courage. The courage to jump and say, I dare to not hide. I dare to be that light. I dare to actually reveal the things that are these secret yearnings inside me. And that courage seems to, you know, I think of the difference between me walking out there on my own and me stepping out there, as you say, with a group of other women, and all telling their story. That just felt so fantastic in comparison. It actually has given me the courage, and I know it's given you the courage to do, you know, do something on your own. Yeah. So it's almost like that platform, that step up to daring. You know, we're in this time of having to be daring, having to find, you know, an author, of course, is authority, author. So it's that courage to step into the author and the authority.
Yeah.
What happened to you when you wrote this book? How did your business change? Because I've really watched you pivot and change and all these, I guess, openings in your business.
Yeah, so this year, I can't believe anyway, I'm just present to how much has happened this year. This year I contributed to 2 of Amma's published books. The first one was in January and the second one in July with Awakening. And this year my business has probably tripled in revenue. It's been my busiest, biggest, most profitable year in the middle of a pandemic, you know, in the middle of a recession. And I really, really lay that at the feet of you know, the energetic shift that happened and does happen when we claim our authority, like you said, you know, when we really step into that higher level version of ourselves that says, I have something really powerful to share. You know, the work that I do is life-changing. It has the power to transform lives, and I'm not going to hide anymore. You know, I'm not going to listen to those voices that say, you got to tone yourself down. You're being too much. You're being too salesy. Who's going to listen to you? You know, I feel like the power of me writing my stories in these 2 books has allowed me to really shed all of that shit, the shackles, you know, that holds us back. And that held me back for like 9 years in my business.
So could you talk about the selling aspect? Because many, soul-driven entrepreneurs really struggle with selling. We don't want to be salesy and markety, and yet at the same time, we are, as you say, our work, our business is our soul work. And so we have to reconcile the fact that being in business means selling.
Yeah.
But it's the way. So how have you got around that?
Yeah.
Little conundrum?
Well, a lot of inner work has got me around that. A lot of, I call this integrating the sales shadow. Yeah, the sales shadow, right? The part of me that goes, I don't want to be seen as a dodgy used car saleswoman, and resisting that, like really resisting putting my work out there because I'm afraid of the judgment, or I'm afraid of the ridicule or the criticism or whatever, which doesn't really ever come anyway, right? That's all just up in here.
It's in the self, isn't it? We do that to ourselves.
Totally. The only thing that stops us is ourself. So a lot of inner work, a lot of integrating the sales shadow, a lot of work around my money mindset as well. That was the first thing that I did that I really felt that where I started to see big shifts happening in my business was my work around money, which if you're in business, you're in sales, you're in the realms of money, right? We need to feel comfortable with that. We need to feel comfortable with making money and with charging people for money, so there's a lot of inner work that I believe really has to be done in order to, it doesn't have to be done, right? We can make massive quantum leaps at the same time, but it's that shadow, working through the shadow stuff around not wanting to be seen a certain way, or fear of rejection from the tribe, the lower self work. And also learning how to sell in a way that feels really good, and everyone has their own unique way of sales. So for me, when I was able to lean into my story, lean into the power of, as a writer, as someone who has loved storytelling and reading stories forever, lean into the power of that, the power of communicating, finding my flow with sales. And it's also practice at the end of the day, Yeah. The more we do it, the more comfortable we feel.
Yeah. And, realistically, money, because it's right down in that root chakra, in that survival zone, it brings up fear. Fear is one of the voices in that area. And so I fear who I might be if I'm kind of working with money. I'm finding through money as well. So,
can I manage money? What will my family say? There's so much there. There's so much there. That's a whole workshop in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been so wonderful talking to you. And Tarsh is a fabulous businesswoman. She has a fabulous coaching container. But your next project, can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'd love to. It's only dropped in.
Yep, go.
Yeah. So I'm launching a second multi-author book. It's not publicly announced yet, so you're all getting a little insight here. But the second book will be called Sacred Rebel: Women Who Dare to Disrupt.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it has really powerful energy behind it, and we're calling forth the women in business who are actively challenging the tried and true methods. Maybe you are doing business in a way that's very unique. Maybe you're doing coaching or therapy or motherhood or relationships or life in general in a way that is disrupting the old paradigm. So, I really believe, you said, women, we're kind of like on the forefront at the moment, in this kind of revolutionary energy. And if you're a woman in business, you are even more at the forefront of that, I believe.
Yes.
There's huge energy that comes from women who claim the power of their work and who claim the power of doing things in a new way. If we really want to call in the new earth, we need to start doing things in a new way, right?
And we really believe that we're enough. That story that I believe almost, 99.9% of women carry of I am not enough.
Exactly.
So we're so programmed. That is really that, tell the story, beyond and through that, that absolutely being a sacred rebel. I love that title.
Yeah. Well, even just like claiming I am enough is kind of rebellious these days. It carries a little bit of that because, in Australia, we got tall poppy syndrome where we can't be too big for our boots and we can't speak up too much and we can't draw too much attention. And yeah, someone says here, time to change things up. I absolutely, I wholeheartedly agree. It's time to shift shit.
What's your intention for this book? Like, if you're going to call in that, like, that's a big intention. I'd love to hear what your intention is.
Yeah. So my intention for this book is that it showcases these, fire starters, so to speak, these women who are out there actively doing things in a way that is different, doing things in a way that heralds a new paradigm, a shift in consciousness, a shift in paradigm. Maybe it could be about sharing the journey that you've gone through to get to this point in your life and in your business where you are comfortable really claiming the fact that you do things differently and owning that and calling forth those women or those soul people, those soul tribe that really resonate with you. But at the end of the day, like, my intention for this book is like, let's shake things up here. Let's show people that we don't need to follow the tradition, that we don't need to follow the status quo. And in fact, blindly following the status quo has what's got us to this shitty situation that we're in at the moment.
Yeah, whereas we're just completely oblivious to our own nature.
Yes.
And the nature that surrounds us, really. We're completely disconnected from who we are. Yeah. And our own essence and the essence of the planet.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it is so time. And it's happening. There's rumbling happening all around. Like, this book is one microcosm of the macrocosm of, how people are starting to wake up to the fact that all is not as it seems. Yeah, we've been lulled into a very false sense of security through, that's a whole other conversation. And it's absolutely time to herald a new way. So, yeah, these are the visionaries, the fire starters, the change makers, the ones that are really here to do that, who have the courage, as you say, the courage to be the flag bearers for the new way. I'm very excited about it. Got big energy.
So those of you out there who are fire starters and sacred rebels, you know where to find Tarsh. Here she is. Connect with her. Tarsh, we're almost at time. Thank you so much. It's been my absolute privilege to speak to you. Yeah. And I can't say at the beginning, obviously, I'm Dominique Oyston from the Goddess Voice Academy. And so, my work is with finding the voice of light within you and the voice of your sacred and earthly essence and expressing that. And to me, Tarsh, you do that so exquisitely and so beautifully. I absolutely bow to you, Goddess. And do you have some last words for us?
Yeah, I guess what comes up is, I really believe this is the power that's available to us when we claim the potency of the work that we do. Everyone here in this group, I have absolutely no doubt, is a soulful entrepreneur. The work they do in their business is their soul work. That's why they're here. And, that's powerful. That's really, really big. It's really big, big work to take that on as your sacred mission, to continue to charge forth, even when it feels like the universe is throwing some big curveballs at you, because it does. It likes to test us. But the power that's really available to us when we claim the potency of what we're here to do. Yeah, we claim our story, we claim our journey and what we've moved through in order to get to where we are. We claim the transformational capacity that we have. And in many cases, it's like that has to happen first, I believe, before we're really able to have this big impact that so many of us feel like we're here to have. If we don't claim it for ourselves, no one else is going to claim it for you, right? Like in business, we really have to be our own champion. And I believe that contributing to a multi-author book, sharing your story, becoming a published author and becoming a bestseller as well. Like that's the other benefit to being in a multi-author, is that it reaches bestseller very easily. It brings a higher level of credibility and authority. Is an incredibly powerful tool to use to help you get to that next level and beyond.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And yeah, thanks everybody for being part of the summit.
Have fun.
Yeah, have fun looking through all the interviews, and thank you for being with us. See you there.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. I'll just send us off into the ether.